the directors of the upcoming Star Wars movie. This is the Han Solo standalone movie. Chris Lord and what are their names again? They were fired.
Lord and Miller. Lord and Miller are their names.
Chris Miller and Phil Lord, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
I think, but they're the guys who did the 21 Jump Street and the Lego movie.
Yeah, and Chris Lord has been on our show. So
they also did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. It's Cloudy and Lego that they've written and directed. 21 Jump Street they just directed. So, but I think
they were fired. They're
yes.
fired off the new Star Wars movie because their tone, what they were going for, was different than what Kathleen Kennedy had in mind. And just to finish setting this up, what's odd about it is they've already been shooting since February, so there's a ton of footage. I mean, the majority of the movie has to belong to them after shooting for so long. But they brought in Ron Howard as a substitute director, and who knows how the credits are going to go. But I'm pretty sure they're all going to have co-directing credits in the end. I mean, I think they're going to arbitrate this if it doesn't go that way.
Right.
Well, I think it goes to a much deeper thing that maybe this is a movie that should not have been tackled. I mean, how do I say this? I do believe that Kathleen Kennedy is the Barbara Broccoli of her generation. There's no doubt about that now. But I have to also ask, what were you thinking if you didn't like these guys' style? Why did you hire them in the first place? I mean, it doesn't seem like this was very well thought out. I mean, it really seems like someone screwed the pooch early on. You knew these guys were going to improvise.
Well,
I don't
know if they knew that.
Well, how could they not?
You certainly knew it after 4 months, and there's a whole lot of preparation that goes on beforehand, where you get to know the people and their approach to what the eventual shooting will be.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, let's just say this. Okay. First of all, the inside story is that it's Lawrence Kasdan who's written the screenplay along with his son. I think it's Jake. He lobbied for Lord and Miller early on, and she went with his suggestion. As far as the improv goes, I mean, with them doing two animated movies before this, maybe they didn't realize that there's improv maybe in some of that. Maybe they thought that all of that was written. It was, for all I know. It's only 21 Jump Street that sticks out to me as an at least partially improv movie. So,
well, the two of them, yeah. There's two Jump Street movies, and
right.
They're both heavily improv movies, from what I can tell.
Right. Yeah. So, did they do the second one? I wasn't sure that they did the second one, but
I think they might, or they had some input in it. But yeah, I mean.
Okay. Well, as far as them getting fired late into the thing, I think they probably were avoiding firing another director so soon after firing the other one. After what was it? Who they fire in the last one? Gareth Edwards or somebody like that?
Did they actually fire Gareth Edwards, or did he just step down?
He stepped down, but they didn't. But basically, what I'm saying is they didn't want another, controversy with the fans and the industry over replacing yet another director, and they tried to go along with it. I can see that you hear that they repeatedly told them, we need more footage, we need more coverage. You're putting only 3 cameras on things when we want 12 cameras on it. We don't want all the improv, and I think they thought that they were going along. They were, working with them, trying to get them to do the right thing, and maybe it was inconceivable for Kennedy that they weren't following directions. It's certainly inconceivable to all of us, but the big problem here is they need to remember this, that the two best directors of the series, besides, George Lucas with the first one, were Irvin Kershner and Richard Marquand for Empire and Return of the Jedi. So, and who are those guys? Those guys were journeyman directors that did any kind of script that was given to them, that they could adapt their style very easily. In fact, they had an invisible style. And that's the kind of directors that we need. We don't need directors for Star Wars movies are a lot like the directors for James Bond movies. They don't need to bring a ridiculous style of their own to it. They need to adhere to a house style.
They can't bring. No one can bring. You can't have an auteur direct these kind of movies.
Yeah.
You really can't.
Well,
it's just not. It's not allowed.
It's conceivable, though. I mean, it is conceivable if it is allowed that somebody can make a different kind of Bond movie. That even something like the Harry Potter franchise, you have distinct markings of really singular directors.
Yeah.
And I'm no big fan of the Harry Potter franchise, but at least I know that some of the director's vision bleeds into that franchise.
Yeah,
it's just the problem of I'm sure that they brought in Lord and Miller because Han Solo is a character with a lot of attitude and swagger, and they wanted directors that could bring that energy to it. But it isn't Lord Kasdan who fired them. I mean,
he was instrumental. He was not happy that they were rewriting. The director of Darling Companion was not happy that they were that he was rewriting their lines. Okay,
Lord Kasdan, he's good.
He's very good. But I think I like Lawrence Kasdan a lot. But let me be very honest here. I think when all is said and done, when we get to episode 9. I think there's going to be a school of thought. I was talking about this some of the other night. Hey, you know what? The prequels weren't so bad. I really honestly believe...
That's not going to happen.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I really,
nothing's going to save them. No.
Well, that's Dean. You're actually kind of wrong there because that started with the last film, The Force Awakens. There's a whole movement under. But I'm not saying I'm a fan of the prequels. I'm not a fan of the prequels. I'm not. But I think when all is said and done, they're going to say, you know what? We just spent $4.4 billion to make several fan movies. We just made fan movies, and at the end, that's what they are.
But who? Okay.
And let me finish. That's what these two films that we've seen are. They are fan movies. They're as if, hey, this is what I do with my action figures. That's what we've seen so far from these two films. Let me see. No, but I mean, that's really what we've seen. Am I wrong in that? Am I really thinking about it?
I like the idea of people playing with their action figures. That's funny.
But that's what it is. Isn't that what you've seen so far, really?
Yeah.
But my point is, why would they give a shit if it keeps making money? I mean, they don't care what you call it.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. If these movies did not make money, I think we would have heard more about the problems on the two films, and there have been problems on both. I mean, The Force Awakens is the biggest movie I've ever seen that was made in an editing suite, that was really conceived in the editing suite. Then Rogue One is sort of a film where we have Gareth Edwards' version and Tony Gilroy's version. So if those movies did not make money, then I think we would have heard about this a lot sooner. But there's a lot of trouble so far in Lucasfilm, and I don't think they anticipated the trouble they're having. But if these movies did not make money, we would have heard about this a lot sooner. I think.
Well, and it's because it's such a massive investment.
Yeah.
You know, if this were a property that they founded, maybe they wouldn't be so precious about it. But they spent a ton of frickin' money, and they have to protect their investment. So, you know, it's a producer's medium, really, this franchise.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and let's be. And speaking of the money, I think they have made back the money they paid Lucas. I think with just the 2 theatrical grosses, I think they've made back the money. So I mean, now it's just everything is going to be profit from here on out. But I think they have finally broke even.
Another worrying thing is they had to bring in an acting coach for Alden Ehrenreich. So that doesn't sound great. I mean, and I do worry about the casting of Alden Ehrenreich, because I really don't think that he is somebody in his career thus far, in the movies that we've seen him in, has really, and he's been fine in both of them, but or at least 2 of them, but I don't see Han Solo in him. Doesn't mean it can't happen. I'm just saying, you know, it's a little iffy to me, and there seems like there were other possibilities out there.
I wonder if I wonder with Han Solo as with, to a degree, with Indiana Jones. I mean, River Phoenix is fine as the young Indiana Jones. I don't really care about the politically correct thing that was the TV series, the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. But I am wondering if Han Solo is one of these things that only Harrison Ford can play. I really am beginning to think that
it's just like like Indiana Jones. I mean, do you really want to see somebody else play that?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I didn't mind. Obviously, River Phoenix was very good as the young for that. Well,
he was perfect. I mean, that was perfection. Let's say that was perfection.
But we're not going to get that. I mean, I really do think this was not the thing I would. You know, fans have been.
Let's be honest. Indiana Jones is a much more specifically written character than something like Han Solo.
Yeah,
and that's why Harrison Ford would prefer to play Indiana Jones over Han Solo again any day.
Because it was basically crafted for him.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to see that, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so what do you think of Ron Howard?
He's the perfect kind. He's the perfect kind of director to do it.
Yeah. I mean nothing short of George Lucas. No,
he fits the bill. He's not a screenwriter, because we can't have screenwriters doing these movies either. If you're bringing in somebody who's known as a screenwriter to direct it, they're going to bring a specific style to it. It's just the way it is. So that was their problem of hiring these 2 guys. That was another problem with hiring those 2 guys. But he's perfect in that he's not a screenwriter. And he's not a guy. He's a guy that you know, tackles other people's scripts almost exclusively. I don't think he's written one script. Maybe he helped write "Eat My Dust" or something like that. But and he's not an artiste. He's not an auteur. He is an auteur, but he's not the kind of auteur that we're used to that write and direct their own movies. They
know that they have a very competent person manning the ship, and he will get the job done on time and on budget.
Yes.
And he comes from that world. He has a history with Lucas.
He does.
I
mean, he loves Lucas. I mean, he adored Lucas. I mean, so I don't think there's. See, that's my thing. I was thinking, if you're going for Ron Howard, why not just go and ask the guy George back, for that matter? I mean, we were spared the young Han Solo. We almost got a young Han Solo in the 3rd Star Wars movie. So, I mean, we almost got that. That was written into Revenge of the Sith, and thankfully they knew to take that out. But
I could easily see, if this period works out, where they, where he's fixing up this particular movie, that they could easily go to Ron Howard for the next one and get him to direct a full one.
Well, they might do that. I mean,
They should.
Well, I'm just curious to see what they want to do after episode 9, because I don't envy anyone associated with episode 9. That's a job I wouldn't want for all the money in the world.
Is that the Colin Trevorrow one? Is that who's doing that?
Yeah, and
one?
it's not his fault. No, I'm not saying it because of him or anything. I'm just saying because your movie, let's put it like this: the movie changed drastically when Carrie Fisher died. Let's not make any bones about that. She was supposed to have a big part in that one too.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't envy
the
anyone.
fact that it was already written and
no, I don't think it was written. No, episode 9 wasn't written yet. They were writing that as
well, they had to make some kind of, just to be honest, they had to make some kind of contingencies for that possibly happening. I mean, yes, she died young, younger than we expected, but they had to have some kind of thing, about how Leia was going to be eventually written out of the series.
Well, no, she would be written out of that one, but I think they wanted her to be in that one, though. I don't think it was something, it's a job I would not want. It's like one of those things, oh dear, what do we do now? We've got Mark Hamill has to do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
episode 9 will be directed by Trevorrow.
That's funny.